Good evening. Welcome to the Falls Township Board of Supervisors meeting for Monday, November 21st. We'll begin with the salute to the flag, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we start, I know most of us here, many people, a very good friend of all of us at Falls Township, Rosemary Malczewski, who is also our elected auditor, passed away recently. She was a longtime member of the Democratic Club. She served on the school board. She served as an auditor. And most of all, she's been a friend to all of us. I remember the first time I ran for office, her parading me through her neighborhood, introducing me to everybody in her neighborhood. I'm sure she did it for all of us, but I want to ask for a moment of silence, please. Okay, thank you. We're going to go a little out of order here. I know item number 1 is public comment, but we have a couple. Yeah, we'll call roll first. I'm sorry. Mr. Galloway?
All right. Aaron Mullen.
Here.
John Palmer.
Here.
Jeff Baraski.
Here.
Jeff Dance.
Here.
And Mr. Galloway's here.
We have a couple of presentations before we get to public comment. So the first one is a donation to the Levittown Homeless Shelter from proceeds from Marie Cozy's Corner Chili Cook-Off.
I'd like to thank the board for allowing us to come here and present this to the Levittown Shelter. We've been doing a chili cook-off in October of every year around the Eagles game, depending on when they're on their bye. So every year we have a chili cook-off. All the proceeds that we give to the Levittown Shelter. And this year we had a fabulous year. Mr. Baraski was a judge. I'd like to thank you and all the other judges. This year, we've raised $6,000 for the Levittown Shelter, and we'd like to give this to Miss Kelly here tonight, and if she'd like to say a few things about the shelter. This is one of the shelters that is a family shelter only in Bucks County in the lower end. So there's kids, husbands, wives, everything. So that's one of the reasons why it's dear to us. We really don't want to see anyone struggle, but especially the kids. So that's why we try our best to give back to the Levittown Shelter. We also have a list here, and I'd like to give it to Matt, if it's all right, if you can put it up on the website. These are gifts that they're asking for donations for the kids for the shelter. We have a box at Marie's. We're going to hold that until December 11th. And then we'll take whatever we get over to Mrs. Kelly over at the shelter.
Good evening. My name is Muriel Kelly. I'm Director of Housing Services. First and foremost, thank you for allowing us the time during your meeting to speak on the shelter and plus to present donation to our shelter. Our shelter is 24-hour shelter. We have over 30 staff, case management services. Each year we serve over 300 plus families. During COVID, the need has been so much more. And I can't thank Mary's Corner, Cozy's Corner for always doing what you guys have done. I've been with the agency for 6 years. And this donation goes way back, whether it's money, whether it's diapers, whether it's bottled water. They have always been in contact with us to do food drive, to raise for the shelter. Again, we serve families, we serve children. Over 30% of the clients that we serve are kids between under the age of 18. During COVID, where we used to serve an average of 15 to 25 kids, we were serving over 60 to 65 kids. In addition to that, we run on wait lists. And so it's not always easy to get into the shelter just because the wait list is so great. Before COVID, we might have been averaging 30 to 75 people or household waiting for shelter. Over the past 3 years, it's been 200 plus people waiting for shelter services. A priority are families and then the singles. It can take from 6 months to get someone into shelter just because we always prioritize family, the medical frail, women who are pregnant, and we also run the Housing Link helpline, which is just 1-800 number, 810-4434, where if you are experiencing a housing crisis, you call this number, we can help you. We have seen an increase of over 1,000 calls. Where we used to average 1,000, 2,000 calls, we're answering 4,500 calls. They may not be necessarily asking for shelter services, but they are experiencing a housing crisis and they need help. And so the donation of $6,000 is going to go towards a long way. And if it's not monetary, whether it's your time volunteering at the shelter, we have needs. Some of our basic needs that we are always in need of includes linens, comforters, pillows, sheets, towels, bottled water, laundry detergent. Those are the things that we need to keep the shelter running. So again, I really thank Mary's Cozy Corner for allowing us to be part of their drive to pick us as the agency that you guys want to give to. This will go a long way. Again, thank you for your time, for allowing us to come and talk to you, and thank you in advance for what you guys are doing. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And thank you as well. All right. Next, we have a presentation of a donation to Fallsington Library from proceeds from the Falls Township Community Yard Sale.
Student, would you like to get a picture with the representative from Marie's and the Township? I think it's Kathleen.
Sure.
Yeah.
Can we do that right after this?
Jay,
Everyone. I didn't
Jay.
want anyone from Marie's to leave.
just hang for 1 second as we're going, just have a picture real quick for Teresa's article, okay?
After this presentation.
Yeah.
Who's making the presentation?
So I'm Neil Vance, treasurer of the Fallsington Library, and with me is Donna Petreco, a board member, and Charlene Rendero, our librarian, and Dexter Renderio, who volunteers. So the speaking on behalf of the patrons and the staff and the board members of the library, we're very grateful to the township and its citizens for all of the financial support we get. The township is responsible for the majority of our operating budget, but the township also has been really open to looking for other ways, such as this event, to support us financially. The library's been around since about 1800, and we hope to be a resource to the community for many years to come. So, do you want to talk at all about the programs? Okay. Yeah, I think we've met with the township about the different sorts of programs we provide, so I don't think there's any need for us to summarize that tonight.
We have a check for you tonight, right?
Yes.
Betsy has a check?
I apologize for that. On behalf, Teresa and I worked on this together. This is a great cause to support the library, and we held a community yard sale, down at the community park, and we're proud to pronounce that we raised $645 to donate to the library. So we will get your check shortly. I apologize.
Brian
on
will
that.
personally drop it off tomorrow.
I will. But thank you for your support.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Photo. Okay. Where would you like us to stand?
Right over.
Okay.
They're going to be right. Right in front of the seal.
Yeah, little people in the front. Oh, wait, there's only 2 little people. Yeah, everybody else. Thank you. Oh, yeah, next group's coming up.
Oh, they forgot. Oh, that was.
You responded to email. It's not a big deal. All right, next item, we have presentation of awards for the Falls Township Scarecrow Contest.
I'm back.
With the check.
Check will be tomorrow. Sorry about that. Proud to announce this is the 4th year we've run the Scarecrow Contest down at the community park. We started this back in 2018, I believe. We didn't do it last year. We're here to acknowledge the winners. We had 6 entries in the contest, and we're acknowledging the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place winners. So I'm going to call them up here. They're going to get a certificate, and they're each going to get a gift card to a Rosso's Family Restaurant down the street. So,
Did you
all
bring the
right.
gift cards?
I have the gift cards. Third place winner in the Scarecrow contest is the Hanson family. Molly, we'll stand over there real quick. That's for you. Got it? Stand right over there, okay? Okay. Second place winner is Girl Scout Troop 2029.
Oh, yeah?
And the first place winner, the Stillwell/Kelly family. All right, I'd like to congratulate everyone. Would you like to come down for a photo or just stand up there?
We'll come down.
Can you hold your certificate up for me?
All right, now we're going to go back to item number 1, public comment. I only have 2 names on the list. First is Quinn Kelly. No?
Wasn't that her just left?
That was
Yeah.
quick, Kelly.
I guess you just put her name down for, and Carrie McSherry. So, is there anybody else for a public comment? No hands, all right. This is trash. Item number 5, certificate of appropriateness, 78 Main Street. Tax map parcel 13020260, 5-foot fence on rear left side of property. This is pretty straightforward. Any comments or questions from board members? Mr. Galloway?
No questions.
Mr. Boraski?
No questions.
Ms. Mullen?
No questions.
Mr. Palmer?
Nah, I reviewed all the documents, everything looks
Yeah, it's
straightforward.
pretty straightforward. It's a stockade fence. It should look very nice. Is there any public comment needed? No hands. Anything from you, Mr. Takita? All right, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item number 6, the DANJA tract, preliminary and final land development, Central Avenue, tax map parcel 13005202, 13005207, and 13005208.
I don't have it.
I don't have it either.
Hold on, is it one of the big ones?
It's in the back.
Thank you.
Good evening, Board. My name is Megan Kinley. I'm here from Gilmore & Associates on behalf of the applicant, DANJA LLC. The property is located on Central Avenue and is comprised of 3 tax parcels, as you previously mentioned. The 3 lots will be consolidated for the applicant to construct a 3,800 square foot warehouse and to be used in conjunction with the applicant's existing company, CVA Incorporated, located north of the proposed site. The proposed site is located in the Highway Commercial Zoning District, and the project was previously approved, with an underground basin, and the only notable change now is that we are changing the plans to have a surface rain garden. All items noted in the resolution are will comply items, and if the board wishes, I will go through the waivers that have been requested.
This is just adding a rain basin, is why they're here?
Yeah, the board approved the project in 2011, I believe, and the project sat for some reason or another, and it was never acted on. They dusted the plans off, resubmitted as an amended final plan, and the only change from that plan to this is the previous plan had an underground stormwater management system, and this one has an above ground.
And everything's will comply.
Correct.
Do you have anything to add, Mr.?
I don't, just that the waivers are the same waivers that were previously granted.
Mr. Takita?
Nothing to add.
Any questions or comments from board members? Mr. Boraski?
No.
Mr. Galloway?
No.
Ms. Mullen?
No questions.
Mr. Palmer?
Can you tell us exactly where this is located, what businesses are near this?
This is located directly behind Peruzzi Nissan on Central Avenue. It's located between the Peruzzi and, I believe, Jefferson Hospital. It's directly across from CVA Incorporated, which is the applicant's current business, and it's going to be used in conjunction with that business.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any public comment needed? I see no hands. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Thank you very
That
much.
was easy. Thank you.
Mr. Dents, that was resolution 2022-33.
Okay. I apologize. Item number 7, Morrisville Municipal Authority waiver of land development, 1 SESSA Circle.
Good evening. My name is Stephen Michaelzak with Pannoni Associates. Tonight I'll be reviewing the existing conditions and proposed conditions for the development and the waivers that we request in association with the development. Feel free to stop me at any point throughout the presentation if you have any questions about the development. The development's located at the southwest intersection of SESSA Circle and Southport Road, tax map parcel 13051001. It's Zone Materials Processing and Manufacturing District, MPM. The lot area is approximately 54 acres, and the parcel currently contains industrial buildings, associated site features. The project area also contains wastewater treatment, water storage, water distribution, and electrical substation. The applicant, Morrisville Municipal Authority, proposes a 3,500 square foot building addition in between the U-shaped building that currently exists on site. The existing building is around 10,000 square feet. The proposed use is to remain the same. It's currently used as a water distribution facility and office space, so the use will remain the same. Parking is at the front of the building and on the north and east side. Currently it's delineated with stripe. It's currently just asphalt, but we're going to be delineating it with striping. And access to the site's going to remain full access drive from SESSA Circle and the internal circulation that's already existing. For stormwater management, we intend to capture the majority of the roof runoff to a seepage pit located in the rear, adjacent from SESSA Circle. And the waivers that we're requesting is the section 191-18.1A, which is the preliminary and final land development procedure, and also section 19148, which is plantings, which is within that section A through I. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have about the project.
All right. Mr. Jones, you have any comments on this?
I do not, Mr. Chairman.
Nothing. And everything is going to be will comply with all the comments,
Yes, sir.
including the fire marshal and everybody else?
Yes.
All right. Do you have anything to add, Mr. Takita?
No comments.
Board members, Mr. Galloway?
Nothing to add, no.
Mr. Boraski?
No.
Everything is will comply. Ms. Mullen?
Yeah, I need some help here. I haven't seen this one yet, so maybe Mr. Jones or Mr. Takita could explain to me why we would waive, it sounds like a whole development process.
Yeah, I can answer that. The project has no public improvements, no real public improvements associated with it since it's a developed site. It could have gone through preliminary and final land development, and the only difference from that process to the waiver of land development process is the need for a developer's agreement after approval.
Got
And
it.
since there aren't any public improvements to be secured, it made sense for us to proceed under the waiver of land development where you wouldn't need that. They'd have to submit an earth disturbance after the approval.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Saves a lot of time and resources. Thank you.
And location too, right?
Correct.
Mr. Palmer, anything?
Just a couple. What are the three requests again that you're asking for variances for?
Waivers?
Waivers?
Yeah, the waiver is, the actual sections are 191-18.1A, which is preliminary and final land development procedure, and then also section 191-48, which is plantings.
Okay.
I think it's, plantings are required whenever there's improvements to a street or development fronting a street. So we requested a waiver from adding plantings to a major industrial area.
Is it a reason that you just don't have nowhere to plant them on the property, or?
I
What
think
is the
just
hardship?
the discussion that we had preliminary in our pre-application meeting is that the site's primarily industrial. So we have room for plantings, but it might not be beneficial to provide those plantings within
You
the
know
area.
that whole site back there, we're making it a from a brown site to a green site. So whatever trees you can plant, we're going in that direction. But if you choose not to on that property, you can donate it to our tree commission, and they'll find a place for them somewhere in our community. I don't have but I will not approve you not.
Mr. Palmer, if they want to voluntarily make a contribution of the trees.
That's what I said.
They can, but predicating your vote on them doing that would not be appropriate.
I'm not in favor of.
I understand, and you are explaining to the gentleman that if they want to voluntarily make that donation, but you're not in favor of it going forward, I understand that.
That's exactly my intent. That's all I had, thank you.
Any public comment needed? See no hands. All right, is there a motion to grant preliminary and final land development to Morrisville Municipal Authority?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Chairman, it's a waiver of land development.
Yeah, granting the waiver of land development.
Yeah, granting the waiver of land development. Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Did
Aye.
we ask for public comment?
I did.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Opposed.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Where's Lauren? I'm sorry, was that out loud? Item number 8, consider resolution for the DCNR grant application for the Pinewood Pool Playground.
I'm back. Simply, this is a resolution. We submitted a grant for hopefully a new playground at Pinewood Pool as part of the 2023 budget. It was a fall period grant that we just submitted, and part of the grant is submitting DCNR a resolution, essentially just saying we would abide by the terms of the grant. If awarded, we would provide the 50% match, provide receipts for expenses, and grant an inspection of the playground when it's done based off the scope of work, that sort of thing. It would just basically be us giving,
I'm going like this.
signing off on it. And it was vetted through the attorney's office.
Okay, and how much is the grant for?
The project itself would be $207,000 and some change for the playground. We would be responsible for half of that if that was awarded.
Okay, it's around $100,000.
Correct.
Any questions from board members? Mr. Galloway?
No, sounds great.
Mr. Boraski?
Is this something that, we would be putting out the bid to put together, or is it something our public works guys would be installing?
No, it would be an outside company doing, just like we've done previous playgrounds.
Yeah, so
And we've
like
gotten
somebody
multiple quotes.
supplies it and installs it for us? Okay,
Correct. Mhm.
Thank you.
And they're all vetted through co-stars,
Yeah.
essentially.
Great.
Ms. Mullen?
No questions.
Mr. Palmer?
No question.
I have none. Is there any public comment needed? No, is there a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None.
Thank you.
Thanks,
right.
Ray.
We're going to go out of order again here and jump to item number 12. With this, the authorization to advertise amending Chapter 198 taxation to add in a new Article 7 earned income tax to levy an earned income tax of 1% pursuant to the authority of the Local Tax Enabling Act, to include definitions, to provide for declaration of payment of the tax, to provide for collection of the tax at the source and withholding by employers, to establish the powers and duties of the tax collector, establish the amount of the tax rate, and establish the effective date of the imposition and levy of the tax, to provide for suits and collection of unpaid taxes, including interest and penalties, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or sections of the code, and establishing effective date thereof. So this is basically an earned income tax. Right now, Falls Township has no earned income tax. I know we did a study about, I think, 10 years ago of how much money Falls residents were paying to other municipalities that they could be paying here. And, this township has relied on a landfill as long as I've lived here, and much longer than that. And the landfill, luckily, Waste Management was able to negotiate a deal with North Point to extend it for a few more years, but there is an end in sight for the landfill. We have an expiration date. So the earned income tax right now, with the study we had, we're losing, so to speak, or Falls residents are paying almost $3.5 million or so around there to other municipalities that they would be paying here. And then it'd probably be another $3 million or so of the residents that don't currently pay an income tax. So on the conservative side, you're looking at around $7 and some million. Now, the earned income tax route is something that doesn't affect seniors because, we have a very large senior population in Falls, whereas it would require, raising our millage rate quite significantly to, invest this kind of money or to get this kind of money. But this is, a first step in securing finance for this township once the landfill is gone, which does, like I said, it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of land left for them to make a deal and to expand. And, these are the hard decisions that these boards have to make. For over 20 years, we've never raised taxes. I know that's something that we've all been proud of, but unfortunately, there's a time when that's coming to an end. Our friend Guido Mariani, we'll call this the Guido Mariani tax, because every year at budget season, Guido would be here hammering us, telling us that we're crazy for not having an EIT. And that's been going on for the 16 years or 15 years that I've been here. So with that, are there any questions or comments? All we're doing tonight is advertising this. We're not implementing anything tonight. From board members, any comments? Mr. Galloway?
No, not at this time.
Mr. Boraski?
No, just, echo your statement. I mean, this is one of them things, it's a tough decision, unfortunately, that falls upon, what we were elected to do. It's the future of the township, and the funding we have and where we're gonna get our funding and how we're gonna survive and pay our bills. I'm not saying the township's broke, but looking into the future when I'm not even here and, that we're losing, the fact that we're losing $3.5 million, I know personally I pay 1% to Huntington Valley. We don't get that back. It does affect people, unfortunately, that don't currently pay an EIT.
Myself included.
Yeah, it's again, it's unfortunate. It's a tough decision to make. It's a lot of responsibility, and the loss is I think the number that that I keep reading that we're losing. We're handing over. We're failing to collect $3.5 million a year to other municipalities, and unfortunately, we can't collect what Philadelphia can take because we can't recoup that back. So whatever Philly's taking, whoever's paying to Philly, we don't get that in return, correct? So it would be even more than $3.5 million in loss. That doesn't include what people are paying into Philadelphia.
That's it. Ms. Mullen?
I don't have any.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, I have some comments on this. This is something we're going to think about over the next month a lot. I have many people coming to me, speaking to me about it. Yes, I heard all the comments at the board level. I know a ton of people that don't pay any right now, and they're concerned with their two incomes, what it's going to come out to, and something I really have to weigh out. I will approve advertising, but I am not sold on pushing this forward. We might have to go back to the budget and make some hard decisions. I'm not sure, but I'm gonna really take input and meet a lot of people over the next month and decide what I'm gonna do.
All right. Any public comment needed? Again, we're only advertising tonight.
I understand it's only for advertisement, but I am vehemently against an EIT tax in this township. It is ridiculous that we need to start advertising to do this.
If the speaker could identify.
Oh, I apologize. Colin Henderson, Falls Township resident. So I'm here because the EIT tax, I understand what you're saying, the landfill does have an end, but isn't that what North Point's for? Having all that development there to eventually take over for the
That's not gonna
landfill?
supplement what the landfill pays.
Okay.
The landfill pays us over $1 million a month right now.
Okay, so if the landfill pays over $1 million a month, then this doesn't supplement it either. And I understand what you're saying about how residents, we're losing money, but we're really not. Okay, yeah, they pay that money to other townships because they went that route. I believe that we have the ability not to go that route. And if you're just worried about the landfill, and then you have no, this is your only solution to try to subsidize it, I believe that's the wrong way to go.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Go ahead.
One thing is, I've actually been sort of like.
Please identify yourself
Oh,
for the minutes.
I'm Dexter Lazar. I'm a resident here, but like waste management, I just don't like the idea that we're dependent on like a garbage company to be paying our bills, keep our lights on. It's like I see a park and I see sponsored by Waste Management. It's a beautiful park, but it's sponsored by Waste Management, and I just think that kind of feels like a juxtaposition. It's like we're bringing in garbage from all across the eastern seaboard, and then we're just sticking it here, and then we build a park on top, but that, you know, that just doesn't feel right. And, you know, I see like all these waste management ads that have to keep us happy, but the second they leave, they're going to be gone. They're going to have their money. We're going to have spent the money. We're going to have built a budget based on not needing to tax people. But then when they leave, if we have to tax people all at once, they'll be so much more upset than if we do it incrementally.
That's the whole idea. That's where this
Yeah,
is
I
the
know.
start. Right.
But I'm just trying to say, like,
Understood.
that I think that's a good counterpoint to what he was saying. Like,
Okay.
yeah, I just want it not to be
Oh, I
just
got you.
an anti.
Thank you.
Very good.
Anyone else? All right, is there a motion to advertise?
I'll make the motion to advertise.
All right, I'll second the motion. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No.
Mr. Palmer, you were a yes?
Yes.
Okay. Now we're going to go back to item number 9, the proposed budget presentation and authorization to advertise.
Screen's okay if we leave the lights all on?
I can see it just fine.
They're fine. We used to have to turn them off, but I think they're bright enough now.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to present the proposed budget for 2023 for your review. Let's see if we can get this working. The laptop's not working. Laptop's not working, David.
Just hit your arrow this way.
No.
It's okay. Let's see here.
Thank you. Sorry, needed a little IT help. The proposed tax rate for 2023 is 8.97 mils. That's an increase of 1.75 mils over the 2022 rate. This millage increase equates to approximately $1 per week for the average homeowner and will be used exclusively to support our 3 township fire companies. Seven tax funds make up the total millage rate charged to township residents. The general fund is the chief operating fund of the township. The street lighting fund is used to account for the cost of electricity and maintenance of highway and street lights located in the township. The fire protection fund helps to support our local fire companies. The fire hydrant fund is restricted to expenditures for the maintenance and repair of fire hydrants located in the township. The Parks and Recreation Fund is restricted to the development of recreational programs in our township parks. The Fallsington Library Fund helps to support our local library, and the Rescue Squad Fund helps to support our local rescue squads. That brings us to our total millage rate of 8.97 mils. The millage distribution will remain unchanged with the exception of the Fire Protection Fund, which will rise from 1.25 mils to 3 mils. This funding will be distributed directly to the 3 fire companies that serve our township to help offset the rising costs of apparatus, equipment, building maintenance, utilities, and other fire-related expenses. For every tax dollar paid in 2022, only 3.5 cents was received by Falls Township. The balance is collected by the County of Bucks and the Pennsbury School District. Residents' tax dollars are used to provide a full range of municipal services, including police and fire protection, construction and maintenance of streets and storm sewers, recycling, residential solid waste pickup, zoning regulations, building inspections, parks and recreational activities, and maintenance and replacement of streetlights. Excuse me. Contributions to fire companies, rescue squads, and the library that serve Falls Township residents are also funded through our real estate tax dollars. What do all of these services cost our taxpayers? Based on an assessment of $30,000, a Falls Township resident paid $216.60 in 2022. That is by far the lowest cost of our neighboring municipalities. Please note, our neighboring municipalities' figures include assessments for trash and leaf pickups, which are free to Falls Township residents due to our partnership with Waste Management. Some highlights of the 2023 proposed budget are our 2023 projected revenues, which include the institution of a 1% earned income tax to fund the operating costs of the general fund in the amount of $5,250,000, reduced reliance by the general fund on the host community fees of $10.3 million, reliance by the general fund on resource recovery fees of $950,000, and additional projected revenues, including local services tax at $630,000, cable TV franchise fees at $623,000, real estate transfer taxes at $1 million, building, electrical, and fire permits at $1,840,000, and the state pension system assistance at $650,000. Regarding our 2023 pension obligation, while the state pension assistance the township receives has remained relatively static, as represented by the green line on the chart, the township's minimum municipal obligation to the pension plans has risen dramatically. As shown by the red line on the chart, the township's pension obligation doubled from $1.3 million in 2012 to $2.6 million in 2017. For 2018 through 2020, our pension obligation was over $2.8 million each year. In 2021, it rose over $3 million. For 2022 and 2023, the township has budgeted over $3.5 million. As you can see, the assistance we receive from the state does little to offset our rising pension costs. The net cost to the township is projected to be $2,892,987 for 2023. Budgeted expenditures from the general fund total $25,798,067. 51.5% of that amount, or $13.3 million, is used to provide police services to our community. Some 2023 proposed capital projects are a new municipal complex. The township has budgeted $28 million for the design and construction of a new municipal complex to begin in the spring of 2023, with completion anticipated in approximately 18 months. The 2023 road program. The township road program will continue in 2023. We've allocated $4.6 million for the continuation of this program. There are various other road construction, repair, and maintenance projects. They include such projects as the Amesbury Road drainage, South Olds Boulevard culvert, the Rice Drive culvert, Community Park culvert, repairs at Martins Creek, Briar Root Lane drainage, Woolston Drive tunnel drainage, Fallsington retaining wall, and the dog park turf issue. All of these projects have been allotted funding in the 2023 proposed budget. There are currently many dead or dying trees throughout the township, creating a hazardous situation for residents and visitors. Many of our trees have been infested by the emerald ash borer and the spotted lanternfly. Others have been weakened from storm damage, age, and disease. We've budgeted $50,000 to continue the tree trimming and removal that was begun in 2018. The purchase of 4 vehicles, computer equipment, firearms training and supplies, and various other equipment and training for the police department have been budgeted at a cost of $470,000. The Public Works Department needs to replace 2 pieces of equipment in their fleet that are reaching 30 years old. $372,000 has been budgeted for the purchase of an enclosed cab hydro-axe machine and 1 bucket truck. And a playground replacement. $140,000 has been budgeted for the purchase and installation of a playground and swings for children ages 2 to 12 to replace the existing playground at the Pinewood Pool. This all-inclusive play space allows for wheelchair access, includes an inclusion swing with a harness, and has amenities tailored to children on the autism spectrum. Based on the proposed budget, a total of $73,240,677 is projected to be spent in the year 2023. The budget schedule for 2023 includes tonight's discussion of the proposed budget, advertisement of the 2023 proposed budget on November 27th, additional budget discussions from now through December 19th, public inspection of the proposed budget from November 30th to December 19th, and adoption of the final 2023 budget at the December 19th Board of Supervisors meeting. And that concludes our presentation of the 2023 proposed budget, and if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you.
All right. Any questions from board members? Mr. Galloway?
No questions. Excellent presentation. Thank you.
Mr. Boraski?
I'm okay right now. I had we've gone over that, but I'm okay right now, thanks.
Ms. Muller?
I've had my many questions answered. Thank you, Betsy.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes, I have one. Can you give me a little history on the fire protection fund, the one we just raised for the fire departments?
Yes.
When was the last time that was raised?
Let me just pull one document here.
It's been decades, right?
It has been. It has been a very long time. It was back in the, I believe the 80s or early 90s that there was a referendum done that increased the fire protection, allowed the increase of the fire protection tax to a maximum of 5 mils. But since that time, we've only been charging 1.25 mils, so we're well within the limits of that tax. And prices just continue to rise. I mean, obviously in the past 30 years, but especially in the last several. Equipment, trucks, fuel, utilities, everything keeps going up, and donations keep going down because everybody's in the same boat. So the fire companies need our help.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I'm hearing from the membership. When they approach me, it's, you know, it's extremely outdated what they've been receiving, and I think you just explained it. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, any public comment needed?
Colin Henderson, Falls Township. Now, I agree with the fire department needing extra funds, but we are more than doubling it. So I also think that maybe we should have looked at this before now, so we could have maybe done gradual increases over time. With that being said, $28 million for the township building. Now, is that a do not exceed number, or is that just a guesstimate at the current rates of labor and material costs?
Yes.
Okay, so
We didn't get the final numbers back. They haven't even put it out to GCs for bid and get final numbers from our architect yet.
okay, so that's just an estimate of what you're expecting to be, but it could be more, it could be less.
We hope not more. Yeah.
All right, and if it is more, then what is the plan?
Drop back and punt.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm not sure. That even 28 million was pushing where we want it to be, but since we started this, you know, we took it off the table years ago, and then, you
yeah,
know,
because it was
there's-
gonna cost
you-
around
you-
$30 million. I remember that.
Yeah, like,
Brand new building.
yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, you're in construction, man, the rising cost, labor, everything else, you know, and
Well,
if you
it's-
sit in here, you can hear that, just that one little thing, you can hear that keep kicking off and on and draining, but that 28 is on, you know, is on
No,
our high end, you know.
Yeah, I am in construction, I understand that.
Yeah.
And it's actually not the labor so much it's raising, is also the material cost.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, we kicked it back, the $30 million building, and now we're just refurbishing for $28 million. I mean, it's the
We're
hope.
not just refurbishing though, Colin.
We're building more on and all that?
We have a little bit of going on, but this is coming down to the steel that's standing, and we're gonna have a new building in a place here.
Okay,
The 30 million was a brand new 3-story building across the driveway.
correct, I remember that.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, hindsight's 2022, you know, like I hear what you're saying, you know,
look, I understand being in construction,
Yeah.
that the rising cost of material
Yeah.
and labor as well. But,
yeah,
all right, I just was curious if that was just a proposed number.
for the most part, yeah.
All
We hope to do better than that.
All right, thank you.
All right. Is there a motion to advertise the budget? I apologize. Is there a motion to advertise the budget?
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Item 10, excellent presentation, by the way, Mrs. Rukoff. Consider reappointment by resolution to appoint auditor for the 2022 financial audit. You want to take us through this, Mrs. Rukoff, since you're here?
Sure. The audit of the 2021 financial statements of the township was performed by the CPA firm of Zelenkowski Axelrod LLC. At the time of their proposal, they were asked to submit a bid that included the option to reappoint them for the audits of the 2022 and 2023 fiscal years. Their bid for the second year remains the same as they bid for the first year. It is $27,000. And at this time, based on their background and experience and our satisfaction with their performance, they've been very responsive to the needs of the township. I'm asking the board to exercise their option to reappoint and confirm by resolution the appointment of the firm of Zelenkowski Axelrod LLC for the audit of our financial records for the period of January 1st, 22 through December 31st, 2022, and to include the option to reappoint them for the audit of the 2023 fiscal year.
Okay, this is pretty straightforward. Any question or concerns or comments from board members? Mr. Galloway?
No concerns, thank you.
No.
Mr. Boraski, no? Ms. Mullin?
Just were we happy with them before?
Yes, this was the first year we had used them. Our very long-time CPA firm was no longer conducting audits, so we had to go with a new one, and it was a very easy change.
Not that an auditor is supposed to make you happy all the time, but I'm glad we
They
felt
were great to work with.
They were competent.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Palmer?
No question.
I have no questions. Any public comment needed? No hands. Is there a motion to reappoint by resolution, resolution number
2022
36?
would be 36, yes.
Okay. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. All right. Where are we now? Item 11. Authorization to advertise an ordinance of Township of Falls, Bucks County, Pennsylvania, amending the zoning map including as section 209-7 of the Township zoning ordinance to rezone tax map parcel 13-047-088 located on South Pennsylvania Avenue from RD3 Riverfront District to High Heavy Industrial District. Is there anyone to take us through this? What are we doing here?
All this is a request to authorize advertisement for an ordinance to rezone that portion of the township. So there is the applicant, after it's advertised, will present to the board the details on the rezoning.
This is a request by North Point to relocate an existing business within the KOIZ, within the steel mill area, so that it can free it up for phase 3 of the development of the North Point site. The business is Harsco, which has been down there for a great many years, and they want to relocate it to this location. From what we've been told, the current location of Harsco is sort of right in the middle of phase 3, and they are obligated to provide Harsco with space. So if they can't relocate Harsco somewhere in the site, they're not going to be able to develop phase 3. Mike McGinnis, who is familiar to all of you, represents the applicant North Point in this.
Shouldn't he be here to explain this?
I just texted him and asked him, and he was under the impression that since this was only authorization to advertise, he did not need to be here, but he will be here with a full presentation from North Point at the December meeting.
Okay. Seems odd that we're doing this after the fact. Mr. Galloway, any questions or comments?
No, just by voting to authorize advertisement doesn't obligate us to accept anything he delivers next month, right?
Correct.
Thank you.
Mr. Boraski?
Were they, in all reality, like, they're throwing them out, right? Like, they're not relocating them on the property, correct?
I'm not sure exactly. In my conversations with Mr. McGinnis, I think they're obligated to relocate them, that they can't just throw them.
No, I'm saying, like, the way you were explaining, they were just moving them throughout the site, is that what's happening?
Yes, that's what's happening. They're just trying to find another spot for them on the site.
Correct, it's on South Pennsylvania Avenue, so if you're going...
But is it in this site?
It's not inside the KTC.
So you are getting them out of the site.
Right.
Where
They're
exactly
moving it
on South
outside.
Pennsylvania Avenue is this?
As you're coming off of Tyburn Road, you can make a choice to bear right and go into the KTC or go left on South Pennsylvania. If you go left on South Pennsylvania, it's the first or second parcel on the right-hand side, so real close to the entrance.
Okay.
Near the entrance miles
Yeah.
out. The Fairness Credit Union. Is that still open?
They moved.
I haven't been there in a while.
Yeah, they relocated onto New Falls.
Are we opening up for public comment?
We will.
Alright.
Do you have any questions or comments, Ms. Mullen?
I have questions for Mr. McGinnis. So I'll hold them till next month if this passes.
Now, we're only advertising.
Correct, you're only advertising, and this is a text amendment, so this is purely within your discretion. So even if you advertise, and even if there's a presentation next month, you can approve the text amendment, you can reject the text amendment, you don't even have to take any action.
What do you mean text amendment? We're rezoning the site.
Right. To be doing it done by, we're changing the text of the zoning code by amendment, so you're rezoning the site. And that is a purely legislative and discretionary function of the board. So unlike a land development, which you have to vote on up or down, and you have a certain period of time when you have to do it, a text amendment, there is not that period of time. So if you advertised it and you heard from Mr. McGinnis next month, and you didn't want to make a decision next month, you could just push it into January or push it into February. There's not the same time limits that there are under as a
I like that.
land development.
I like that.
Yeah.
The planning commission had a lot of concerns.
And you can ask Mr. McGinnis and his client a lot of questions next month if you want, and then tell them to come back in January with more answers
Okay.
if that's what you want.
I like that.
All right. Anything else, Ms. Mullin?
No.
Mr. Palmer?
Yeah, I have a couple. Does anybody know if this is gonna be a tax-free abatement property, means that they were in the North Point property? Are they gonna ask for that to also be tax-free abatement?
If it's not in the existing KOIZ, they'd have to go back through DCED to get it expanded, so there'd be the process of having to go back through DCED. This board would have to approve it, the county would have to approve it, Pennsbury would have to approve it, but as of now, there are no
It would
indications.
be initiated at the state level, though.
Right, right, to extend the KOIZ. As you may recall, there was one piece of property that got shifted at one point, and a little part of it was outside of the KOIZ.
Yeah.
And that got.
This is way outside.
This is way outside.
It's an existing business too, doesn't that matter?
Yeah, it probably would, in a whole lot of ways, it probably wouldn't qualify for KOIZ.
Well,
And there's no indication they're asking for it.
Well, until I find out a little bit more about this, I do know there's been a long-standing history that Biles Island was gonna get repurposed to Falls Township eventually for $1. With this outfit, from what I'm understanding, being in front of it, might hinder future usage for us as a township with Biles Island. So I definitely have a concern with that.
Is that it?
That's it.
Is there any public comment needed?
Kyle Henderson again. So I'm on the planning commission, and the proposal that they brought up to us, why we have a lot of concerns. If you make this highway industrial, there's a lot of stuff that they can put there that doesn't actually belong there. Like the company they're talking about crushes coal scale and copper scale. And if you've ever been by the property, they have giant mounds outside. So is that something we want on Pennsylvania Avenue where there are houses not that far from there? I mean, this is something that should be designed to be inside an industrial complex where it currently is. So I understand that they want to move it because it's a hindrance to them to continue their development, but I don't think that we should, as a township, just go along with whatever they want just to help them make money. I'm not saying we should hinder them, but they could find another spot in the KOIPZ and all the land that they have to put them in there. This isn't a giant operation that has, you know, they need a couple hundred acres. I believe that it's approximately 18 acres that they have, which is the approximate size. And the other problem is that the land that they want to put them on, there's wetlands behind them. So this is going to be out front on the street. So it's not like it's a plot of land where we could stick them in the back and it's not that much of a hindrance. This is going to be on Main Street. Coming into this new, brand new industrial district on Pennsylvania Avenue, you're going to have a coal pulverizer right out front. So that was one of our biggest concerns. And not only that, if it's not them, it's other highway industrial they put in there. They can do a lot of different stuff with that. I understand maybe we can rezone it from Riverfront to something else, but I think this is a bad move. Thank you.
Colin, real quick, did they bring representatives from their company? What is it,
Harsco? No, they did not. They basically said, the way it was received to us in the meeting, the way it was said, was they are in preliminary discussions about that would be what they're looking to move there. The problem is that's not really, that plot of land, the way it is, they can't put the size of, they could put like a warehouse there, but it'd be a real small one, not the ones that they built. So to them, that property is a hindrance to them that they don't want. And they didn't say they're open to selling it necessarily, but they don't, it's not something that they develop with what they do. So they're trying to kill two birds with one stone, put a business that's a hindrance to them out there but then at the same point, that business shouldn't be out there. So.
I would just be curious to see what Harsco's take on the whole thing was, unless they don't have an option or a choice at this point, you know? They could be getting evicted, or I don't know what they're.
Well,
Sounds like that North Point's obligated to relocate, so we're
okay.
doing
Yeah,
this. This is, but North Point putting this before us, not Harsco.
Yeah, so the lease that Harsco is, I believe they said runs to 2028, and they are obligated to keep them for that long. But there are other places in there that I believe they can move into. But I'm thinking this is guesstimate on mine, but this is an easy kill on two things. So they can move this company there, and now it's out of their hair, and now, like you said, it's holding up phase 3. But then again, where they want to put it, I think is a detriment to the township. So, all right.
Any other public comment needed? All right, is there a motion to advertise this ordinance?
So moved.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Opposed.
All right. Item 13. Consider resolution to implement Act 57 of 2022. Mr. Clark?
So this is a recent act by the state legislature, signed into law by the governor, that all municipalities need to adopt by no later than January 9th, 2023. To put it simply, in the past, it is, or I shouldn't say in the past, it has always been the responsibility of a property owner to make sure that they're paying their property taxes, even if they don't get a tax bill. But what Act 57 is doing, it is allowing new homeowners who did not get a tax bill for whatever reason. Perhaps the tax bill was being sent to the old property owner, or it was being sent to the mortgage company, and they are delinquent on their property taxes and have had fees and penalties assessed. They can now seek a waiver during the first year of their new home ownership to have those fees and penalties waived. Essentially, it's trying to just make sure that people who didn't get their first tax bill, maybe brand new homeowners, may not realize it's their responsibility to get their tax bill, and they didn't get one, that they're being relieved of these penalties. As the law is right now, if you don't get your bill and you don't pay your property taxes, not getting the bill is not an excuse. So this is just something that every municipality has to adopt before January of 2023.
Okay. Any questions from board members? Mr. Galloway?
No question.
Mr. Boraski? Ms. Mullen?
No, except I do want to say this happened to me. It almost happened to me, so it is a real thing, and it is nice that they have the waiver, because if you're a first-time homeowner and you don't know, I was a first-time homeowner once, and I'm glad my mortgage company looked out for me when I wasn't.
All right. Mr. Palmer?
No comment.
I have none. Any public comment needed? All right. This will be resolution 2022-37. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Item number 14, authorization to advertise for provisions of cleaning services for Falls Township. Mr. Takita.
The Township is requesting sealed bids for cleaning services at various township parks and at the current township building, as well as the temporary township administration facility. This is just a request to advertise for these
Pretty
bids.
straightforward. Any questions from board members?
No.
Yeah, I have one. Didn't we say we wanted to kind of stay with the same company because of the background checks and how hard it was to get a qualified company in the past?
We would like to stay with the same company, but because of the amount of the contract, it has to go out to bid.
Okay. But we had that company for what, 3-4 years?
Yes, we have, yeah.
Any other questions from board members? Any public comment needed? Is there a motion to advertise?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, aye. Item 15, ratification of indemnity agreement between Falls Township and Ohioson for property located at 85 Ben Fairless Drive. Mr. Clark.
Wait, give me 1 second, get my notes. This is a ratification of agreement to allow Hyosin to proceed with construction while they are waiting for DEP approval. The agreement is attached, but DEP has already issued its approval. This is something we do periodically when a business is waiting on DEP approval, which may take some time. We allow them to move forward, and there's an indemnification agreement that essentially says, if you don't get your DEP approvals and you have a fully constructed building, we're not at risk at all. But we did agree to this. They did move forward, but they have already gotten their approvals. So we still need to ratify the agreement.
Okay, pretty straightforward.
Yep.
Any questions from board members? Mr. Galloway?
None.
Mr. Boraski?
No.
Ms. Mullen?
No.
Mr. Palmer?
No.
And I have none. Is there any public comment needed? No hands. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, item 16, escrow releases. We have a bunch in here, right? We have a WG Lincoln Properties at 640 Lincoln Highway for $21,197.71. Can we do all these together, Mr. Clark?
You can, unless someone's gonna vote no on one of them.
I think that's the only one.
That's the only one.
That is the only one.
Yeah, it's the only one.
All right. Any questions from board members? Any public comment needed? Is there a motion to release the cash to WG Lincoln Properties?
So moved.
Second.
Can you poll the board, Mr. Galloway?
Yes, Aaron Mullen.
Yes.
John Palmer.
Yes.
Jeff Boraski.
Yes.
Jeff Dance.
Yes.
And I am yes.
All right. Item 17, appointments to various boards and commissions. I'm sorry. I guess now's as good a time as ever. As we said in the beginning of this meeting, Rosemary Malashevsky passed away, and she was an elected auditor. Is this the appropriate time to appoint a replacement to fill her seat, Mr. Clark?
Yes. When there is a death of an elected official within the township has 30 days to fill that vacancy once they've become aware. We have become aware, obviously, of Ms. Malashevsky's passing and the date of her passing, so the board needs to fill this position. Otherwise, it goes to it can be filled by the court,
Right.
or it can go to the vacancy board. The vacancy board would be made up of the 5 of you and the vacancy board chair, so you would be making that decision anyway, but you can fill this.
Okay. So we did have some letters of interest. Unfortunately, the one that we received was a township employee. And section 404B of the second-class township code states, no auditor shall at the same time hold any other elected or appointed township office or position or be an employee of the township for which he has been elected or appointed. So unfortunately, that person can't serve the seat. But we have interest from Mr. Sean Murphy, who many of us know was the president of the Falls Soccer Club for many years, a good, resident in Falls Township. So I'm going to make a motion to appoint Sean Murphy to fill the seat.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. All right, any other appointments?
For zoning and hearing, the,
Alternate.
oh, sorry, that'll be next month.
What's that?
Never mind. There's resignations, but they're not in effect yet, I guess?
Correct.
Okay,
There's no
Do that.
appointments, right?
right.
Do we have an
Next.
alternate though, right?
Yeah.
We have an alternate
And he's
who-
interested?
Yes,
Okay, cool.
we'll do that next time.
We had 2 members of the zoning hearing board that announced one's terms expiry is not gonna look for reappointment, and the other one is resigning effective December 31st, or whenever their last meeting is, the 12th or something.
It doesn't make any sense to do that now.
You can't, because the
Yeah.
vacancies don't
Got it.
exist. The one person whose term expires at the end of the year, you'll just appoint someone in January. The other person who is indicated is intent to resign.
I think it was effective at the end of the December meeting,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Okay.
And then you can.
we can do it at our December meeting.
You can indeed.
All right, item 18, minutes from October 17th. Any questions, comments, or corrections on the minutes from board members? Everyone was present. I haven't seen Mrs. Pullen in person in a long, long time. Excellent minutes, Mrs. Pullen, if you're watching at home. None?
What's that? I have nothing.
No question.
All right, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, that takes us to the engineer's report. You're up, Mr. Jones.
Engineers report for the month of October shows that we had 5 earth disturbances submitted and 1 land development. Highlights are in red as usual. KF Fairless Hills, that project is for the Wawa on Lincoln Highway. We've met with the Wawa contractor and they will be starting that project shortly, their phase of the project. North Point Phase 2, buildings 4, 5, and 6 are now under construction for all site improvements. As you'll recall, before they were only approved to do demo and fill. The North Point Harsco rezoning you discussed previously tonight. The 6 Steel Road East development, that's a project off of Steel Road, and they submitted plans, but they're in technical issues with our office, and they'll be appearing hopefully before the Planning Commission next month. In terms of the earth disturbances, I will try to zero in on these since there's a lot of red on your list. The County Park Lake Caroline, that's the path, Mr. Galloway. I've had multiple conversations with their engineer. We see eye to eye on the path forward. They're going to submit to FEMA and follow our ordinance, and the project will be under construction this spring.
That's awesome, thank you.
The residences and the pools that are remaining in that middle column are all completed or nearing completion. The Macaulay residence is actually nearing completion, but all the other ones are actually completed. And that's what the highlight or the update is. In the third column, all of the pools, actually everything but Atlantic Precast is under construction, and Joffrey Venture, that's the Courier Times building. Those 2 projects are still in progress, but everything else is either approved, completed, or about to start, if I can qualify it that way. The 2 exceptions to that are the North Point Falls Township Industrial Earth Disturbance and the Fleck RTY Holdings. Those are kind of nuanced earth disturbances that are kind of matter-of-fact submitted to us, but subject of a previously approved land development. So they're going to be approved this week. In terms of the township projects, the 2020 road program, Simons Gilbert Burgess Manor, is now in the maintenance period. There's a couple of trees that we're going to go back and help homeowners out with where the trees were removed. So that will be under maintenance for 2 years for any disruption to the work. 2021 through 23, Elderberry is at the same finish line, substantially complete. Punch list is underway, mostly completed. We are not authorizing their final payment until all of the landscaping and sod has taken, and that will be this spring, at which point that will be in the maintenance period, assuming everything goes well. And the Pinewood Drive construction has commenced and the residents have been notified. That's my update.
Right.
I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions or comments from Mr. Jones, Mr. Galloway,
None.
Mr. Boraski?
No, thank you.
None.
Mr. Palmer?
2. Getting questions about Mission Barbecue. Where are they at?
Mission Barbecue has a similar issue with their DEP Act 537 sewer approval. And so I believe, and the manager can help me with this, I believe that they were authorized to proceed on the retail side of the building where there's no difference in flows and an existing sewer connection. But the restaurant side, they have to wait until DE approves the planning module. DEP understands that this is a pressing issue, and they assured us that they're going to put it on the top of their list to approve. But I don't believe that was a project that the township professionals were comfortable going into an indemnity agreement over. And so I think they
no
still
fault of
sit
their
with-
own, they're just waiting on DEP.
Just waiting for the planning module to be approved. And frankly, the engineer who did the waiver of land development plans was unaware that he had to submit for a planning module, which is why it was delayed. He should have submitted it when they submitted to us.
Then the car wash up on New Falls, I keep getting emails about that.
Yes, that, we just recently communicated with their engineer and all permits are in hand. I was again waiting for word on their 537 and I recently received that, so we're scheduling a pre-construction meeting.
Okay, thank you so much.
Now I have two. The Rice Drive culvert, that went out to bid and no one bid on it last year?
Correct.
Or this year? And you think that's going to change?
Yes, both bidders were interested. It was General Asphalt and I think it was ABC Construction, contractor who worked with us before on culvert projects. ABC Construction didn't have time to put their numbers together and apologized and said, when you rebid it, we're going to bid the job. And General Asphalt, similarly, I believe that was when their pavement foreman, the one who does all of their bids, fell sick.
So when is that going to go out to bid again?
They also complained because prices were increasing, so we didn't want to go out to bid immediately. We got authorization too, but we figured if we went out to bid and received bids, then we'd be holding those numbers too long for the contractor. So we can bid at any time, and we intend to do it so that we could receive the bids and be ready to start for spring, and it wouldn't be a 2 or 3 month delay.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you. That takes us to the bill list, item 20. We have a bill list of $4,447,682.71. Just over $1.5 million of that is payroll. $718,000 plus is for the road program, post-retirement health care for our police officers, architects for the municipal building. Any questions or comments on the bill list from board members?
No.
Mr. Boraski?
No, I have none.
Ms. Mullen?
No.
Mr. Palmer?
I have none.
Is there a motion to pay the bills?
So moved.
Second.
Can you poll the board, Mr. Galloway?
Aaron Mullen.
Yes.
John Palmer.
Yes.
Jeff Praski.
Yes.
Jeff Dance.
Yes.
And I am yes.
Item 21, Mr. Clark, you can comment on our executive session.
Yes, Mr. Dents, prior to the meeting, the board held an executive session to discuss personnel matters, a matter involving collective bargaining agreements and litigation.
All right. You're up, Mr. Takita. Manager comment.
There are no manager comments at this time.
None? All right. Board comment, Mr. Galloway.
Just happy and safe Thanksgiving to everyone. Thank you.
Mr. Boraski.
I have none, thank you.
I want to echo what Mr. Galloway said and wish everyone a happy and safe Thanksgiving. Ms. Mullen?
I'll keep it going. Happy and safe Thanksgiving.
Mr. Palmer, you're up.
Ditto.
All right. With that, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.